Council is ready to proceed to the vote on the draft resolution before it. I now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements before the vote. I give the floor to the representative of France.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. I welcome the presence of the representative of Iran to the meeting. I'd like to thank the Presidency for having organized this meeting today on a central issue for international peace and security and for non-proliferation. The organization of this holding of this meeting, enables us to apply, as we should, the JCPOA agreement and Resolution 2231. For France, the conditions are not in place for a permanent lifting of the sanctions adopted by the Security Council with regard to Iran before 2015. Since 2019, Iran has chosen to stop implementing its commitments under the JCPOA and has engaged in an escalation of its nuclear program. This escalation, documented by successive reports of the IAEA, has led Iran to exceed one by one all of the limits that were established in the 2015 agreement. Iran has therefore accumulated a stock of enriched uranium 40 times higher than the 300-kilo limit that was contained in the 2015 agreement. More than 450 kilos at over 60%, whereas the 2015 agreement gave an enrichment limit of 3.76%. 40 times higher. Once again, the limit of enrichment has been exceeded over 60%. The 450 kilos, if it reached military enrichment levels, would make it possible to produce 10 nuclear warheads. The IAEA has underscored in its report that Iran is the only state that does not have a nuclear weapon to have enriched to these kinds of levels. These kinds of activities have no credible justification if it were to be part of a civil program. Once again, it's the IAEA saying that as an independent professional body. Iran has also, for several years now, imposed restrictions on the IAEA verification mechanisms. And the agency has indicated that it has now lost continuity of knowledge with regard to huge aspects of the Iranian nuclear program. Since then, France and our E3 colleagues have applied the JCPOA in good faith with regard to all chapters of the agreement, and we have deployed constant efforts to arrive at a diplomatic solution. In January 2023, we activated the dispute mechanism that is contained in the agreement to try to address the non-respect by Iran of its obligations. In 2021 and 2022, we concluded those efforts. We led intensive negotiations then with a view to bringing Iran round to respecting its arrangements. Two viable proposals were put forward by the JCPOA coordinator in 2022, March and April of that year, and each time Iran refused these offers. Since September 2024, France and our E3 partners have clearly signified to Iran our determination to launch the snapback mechanism before the expiry next October of the mechanism, taking into account the non-proliferation regime and our interests. It's clear that the escalation is continuing with the Iranian nuclear program. It's threatening regional stability, international peace and security, and it's also endangering the integrity of the international non-proliferation regime. Under those conditions, the Security Council would not be assuming its responsibilities if we were to approve the permanent lifting of all sanctions, and if we were to not once and for all deal with the Iranian, and if we were to remove the Iranian nuclear issue from the Council's agenda. But we have tried to find alternatives to reintroducing the snapback and sanctions. Last January, France did not participate in or support the strikes against the Iranian nuclear program. We, on the contrary, highlighted the importance of a diplomatic framework, and that is the only way to lead to a durable pause in the Iranian nuclear program. We also noted that we could not reach a negotiated agreement before the end of the summer, and we ourselves, the E3, tabled an offer to temporarily extend 2231 in order to provide time for diplomacy. That was in July. That offer had a couple of reasonable demands attached to it, covering Iran's obligations under its General Guarantees Agreement that were reasonable and achievable. They were calibrated and could have been technically achieved in the time frame. First of all, resumed effective cooperation, and not just formal cooperation, with the IAEA on the ground, and access for inspectors to the Iranian nuclear sites, particularly the most sensitive ones, Natanz, Fordam, and Isfahan. Secondly, the production of specific reports under the generalized security guarantees with regard to uranium, highly enriched uranium in Iran. And thirdly, the resumption of direct unconditional talks with the United States. An extension of Resolution 2231 can only be provided if it is accompanied by Iran meeting its obligations under the general guarantees, and if it allows for substantial negotiations to achieve a robust, verifiable agreement with regard to its nuclear program. Since the snapback procedure was launched, we have unrelentingly pursued our efforts to find a negotiated solution within the 30 days before the effective resumption of UN sanctions. Foreign affairs ministers of the E3 have twice met with their Iranian counterpart. The last meeting was the day before yesterday. However, our offer of extension has still not received a satisfactory response. Iran has not taken any actions to resume cooperation with the agency. On the 9th of September in Cairo, there was a meeting between Iran and with Iran with regard to the resumption of cooperation. No timetable was produced, and according to the Iranian foreign minister, the return of inspectors to the most sensitive Iranian sites, such as the ones I mentioned, should be subject to subsequent negotiations with the agency, they said. The IAEA is not able to guarantee the presence of the stock of the 450 kilograms of highly enriched uranium. The last report of the 4th of September, however, qualifies that stock as extremely concerning and stresses the need to verify the situation and resume negotiations with the United States. We don't think that has happened yet. So we have to continue with the snapback procedure, which, unless there is a contrary decision taken by the Council subsequently, on the 28th of September to resume the sanctions regime with regard to Iran as per the 2015 agreement. President, and I will conclude with this, asking the members of the Council to excuse me speaking at such length, but the objections I think raised do merit this. Our commitment for a diplomatic solution remains complete. The E3 ministers who met the day before yesterday, as I was saying, who met with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Iran, told him once again, as clearly as they could, that we have an offer of extension that remains on the table until the end of the 30-day period, and our hand remains outstretched to find a negotiated solution. Thank you.
I thank the representative of France for the statement. I shall put the draft resolution to the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2025/561 please raise their hand? Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows: 4 votes in favor, 9 votes against, 2 abstentions. The draft resolution has not been adopted, having failed to obtain the required number of votes. I now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements after the vote. I give the floor to the representative of United Kingdom.
Thank you, President. I also welcome the participation of the Iranian permanent representative in this meeting. Today's resolution fulfills a key step of the snapback process set out in Security Council Resolution 2231. President, the United Kingdom is committed to pursuing a diplomatic solution to ensure that Iran shall never seek, acquire, or develop a nuclear weapon. That is why, on the 28th of August, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany notified this Council of Iran's clear and deliberate non-compliance with the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. We have urged Iran to address international concerns regarding its nuclear program, which the International Atomic Energy Agency has been unable to confirm is exclusively peaceful. Iran's nuclear escalation has been detailed in more than 60 reports by the IAEA over 6 years. It includes the accumulation of a high-enriched uranium stockpile which lacks any credible civilian justification and is unprecedented for a state without a nuclear weapons program. President, the United Kingdom voted no on today's resolution because, if it were adopted, it would have permanently terminated 6 Council resolutions on Iran's nuclear program, removing this important issue from the Council's agenda, despite Iran's JCPOA non-compliance and Iran's continuing failure to implement its legal obligations under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. President, in good faith, we offered Iran an opportunity to extend the provisions of Resolution 2231 if Iran resumed full cooperation with the IAEA in line with its legal obligations, addressed concerns regarding its high-enriched uranium stockpile, and re-engaged seriously in negotiations. These steps are achievable for Iran. They're also justified and proportionate. They would give reassurance to this Council that a full diplomatic deal would follow. But without these most basic conditions being met, there is no clear path to a swift diplomatic solution. We regret that Iran has so far failed to take these steps, and we urge them to act now. President, the United Kingdom remains committed to a diplomatic solution. We are ready for further engagements diplomatically in the next week and beyond to seek to resolve differences. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the United Kingdom for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Slovenia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also welcome Permanent Representative of Iran to the Chamber. I wish to begin by expressing my appreciation to you for your leadership on this file and for your commitment to upholding the agreements reached among the members of the Council. We view today's motion precisely in that spirit, consistent with what the Security Council envisaged when adopting Resolution 2231. Colleagues, we stand at a critical juncture for multilateralism. trust is eroding in the corridors of the United Nations. International law is increasingly disregarded. 10 years ago, in 2015, global diplomacy was able to overcome differences and find a consensus. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action was rightly seen as a landmark multilateral achievement. It placed strict, among participants mutually agreed, limits on Iran's uranium enrichment and stockpile. It established the most rigorous inspection regime ever agreed through the IAEA. Since 2018, the deal has struggled for credibility. For many years, we have been witnessing non-compliance with the provisions of the JCPOA. Prospects were further diminished with the 12 days war in June. Mr. President, Slovenia voted against in today's vote to send a clear and deliberate message. A reset is urgently needed. We call on Iran to return to negotiating table, to restore full cooperation with the IAEA, and to recommit to pursuing its nuclear program solely for peaceful purposes, in a transparent and verifiable way. We call on Iran and on the E3 to use the remaining days to 27 of September for diplomacy. There is no other but a diplomatic solution to Iranian nuclear issue. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Slovenia for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to welcome the participation of the Iranian representative to this meeting. Somalia voted this draft resolution according to the paragraph 11 of the Security Council resolution of 2231 of 2015. This decision reflects the nuanced and multifaceted nature of the current situation, particularly regarding the JCPOA commitment by parties. At the same time, we firmly believe that the importance of fostering diplomatic engagement and dialogue to address Iran's nuclear program. Any decision regarding Iran's nuclear program must be considered carefully, taking into account the broader implication of the regional stability and international security. We urge all parties to work constructively in the coming days, prioritizing diplomatic solutions that address the concerns at hand while avoiding actions that could lead to further escalation. In conclusion, Somalia reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the nuclear weapon-free Middle East and a peaceful use of nuclear energy in full alignment with Article 4 of the Treaty, Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Somalia for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Russian Federation.